how did you get started on Amazon to start with, to give some context?
I've always enjoyed understanding why a product sells and how to make it sell.
What are the main KPIs that you normally look into?
Those are three things you need to understand incredibly well and track them.
Do you check the main relevant keyword and check those funnels for those keywords as well?
Is our rank going up and down? Is our market share going up and down?
Is there any AI that you normally use or recommend for the users to support their listing?
EcomSqueezed podcast.
Welcome back to EcomSqueezed. I'm a host, Sebastian, founder of Retail-Outsource. And today we got a great guest. Joining us, Iani Doynov, a seven-figure seller and the founder of EcommerceVille, a full-service Amazon agency built by real operators. Iani helped scale brands to millions in revenue, manage complex logistics, and now works with sellers to simplify and streamline and grow profitability without all those fluff. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction.
I've given some basics, so if you can expand on it, please.
Sure, of course. Yeah, my name is Iani. I'm located in Glasgow in Scotland. I've been in the Amazon space for over 5 years now. I sold my own product, so I've pretty much done everything on Amazon, right? And also on eBay. I've done reselling, I've done books, I've done DVDs. Then we had our own brand for handmade candles. And now I have a full service Amazon agency called EcommerceVille, as you said, where we do all the listing creation, the ads, the full management where it comes to Amazon. Basically, we want to remove a lot of the headache that Amazon causes, increase your sales and increase your profit. That's a very short summary of what we do. And Amazon is all we do. We specialize on Amazon. We don't offer TikTok Shop at the moment or any of the other services. I believe if you want to be great at something, you need to concentrate on it. Because a lot of our clients come from other agencies and I see a lot of the work that happens behind the scenes. And I think a big part of that is because many agencies offer Google PPC, Facebook ads, Amazon, TikTok Shop. And it's very difficult unless you're a big team with specialized teams to do that at a high level. Because you know yourself, Amazon is not as easy as it looks.
True. So I want to ask you, how did you get started on Amazon to start with, to give some context? What was that initial step?
Yeah, so I started on Amazon 2019 from what I remember, just before the pandemic. And during that time, I had a business called Host Clean where we did Airbnb changeover. So we cleaned and provided linen for properties who are on Airbnb. I'm sure you're from France, you know very well about Airbnb. And this is what we did, right? And during that time, I started selling on the site, selling on eBay, buying DVDs and books in bulk and selling them. So that sparked the initial part, and it was going pretty well, quite fast. And then the pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, our business, we had to shut down because of, at that time, the government. We shut down completely, and at that time, e-commerce, as you know, started to really peak. And that's when we started dedicated heavily to the point that once the pandemic was kind of over, we already had a business doing 100,000 plus a month. So that was starting to now become the focus. And so of course, the business still was running Host Clean, and that's where we really started Amazon, right, during that time. And we, as I said, we've done everything from reselling to then having our own brand. A lot of the PPC listing creation, we've learned it. Not a lot of it, all of it, we've learned it ourselves, because I believe the best way to learn it is spending your own money. Is it the fastest? I'm not sure, but it's definitely beats watching YouTube videos. So that's where we learned, quote unquote, our craft. We fast forward to now in 2025. Now we have the agency, which is pretty new. EcommerceVille is about a year old, if that. I sold my previous brand and company to my partner, and now our full focus is the agency. That's really where we're focusing. That's what I'm enjoying more. I've always enjoyed understanding why a product sells and how to make it sell. I haven't enjoyed as much the logistics, the fulfillment, and the creation of the product, but actually understanding how to shift the product and make sure it sells the most at the biggest profit. That's what I've always enjoyed. I like that competition side of ranking at the first place, being in the top 5.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
That's kind of the drug for you, right?
That
dopamine. Right? So first of all, I want to ask you, Iani, what's that? We have a situation where a lot of sellers who are not selling on Amazon currently, maybe they have their own website, they're selling through it. They don't want to take that first step to Amazon, and they are saying, okay, it's too competitive. There are a lot of fees. So what will be your saying to them? What are you going to talk to them?
So yeah, well, I'm going to convince them through data and experience, right? Most common issues that people, let's say you're on Shopify, you have a website and you're Shopify. There's many concerns they have. The first concern many brands that are just on a website have is, I'm going to lose customers and sales to Amazon. That's not true. People who shop on Shopify and your own website and people who shop on Amazon are different. And most of the people who would buy your brand already going on Amazon. So many times, if you're a more established brand online, you're getting, as you know, search volume already for Amazon. So people are looking for your brand. You're not coming up, something similar to yours. A competitor is coming and then buying that. So being on Amazon will only give you more credibility, because any normal customer that sees you on Amazon, they think you're a bigger brand than you are many times. Because bear in mind, most customers don't understand how Amazon works and how easy or difficult it is to get there. So you being on Amazon and your own website can only help you. Second concern is the fees, right? They're like, oh, Amazon is the fees are so big. And yes, Amazon's fees are high. But if you look at the fees on Shopify and the websites are very little. Where you spend the most is ads, Meta ads or Google PPC, whatever you're using, that's where the money and the fees go. So if you actually look and you do a profit and loss analysis of how much your fees are with the ads included on Shopify compared to Amazon, many times you see they're pretty much similar, to a point that sometimes on Amazon you're paying less fees overall. And as you know, on Amazon you have the organic part. If you do very well on Amazon, that can only become a flywheel effect to your brand. So for me, if I have a brand, I would always have a presence on Amazon, because 60% of transactions on e-commerce in the world are there. I don't care about the platform as much. I care about making sure that the customers I'm selling for are on the platform. That's the key. So that's why many times I speak with brand owners. I say Amazon, eBay, TikTok Shop, be on all of them if you can and if you understand them. Because if a customer is there, go there, right? Especially now with TikTok Shop going on fire, Amazon as well. These are platforms I want to make sure I'm there. And of course, I try them. It's a worst case scenario. If you're an established brand, just list on Amazon. See if what happens. Sometimes you get even sales organically if you have some kind of establishment. So definitely, it's a very big limiting belief about brands going to Amazon, because people are going to buy from Amazon. Are they going to buy your product or your competitor's product? That's really the question.
That's a very, very good way of convincing them. And my next question is, let's assume that you got an account, a seven-figure seller.
Yeah.
And what are the main KPIs that you normally look into? When I say KPIs, the top level KPI.
Of course, yeah. So for me, for my brand or for brands we work with, the most important thing is, and these are the success metrics I'm looking. First, I want to understand the funnel. And the funnel on Amazon is impressions, clicks, and conversions. Impressions is the traffic. Are enough people seeing us? Clicks, are enough people actually going to the listing? And conversion, when people are on the listing, are they converting and buying? If all those are three things you need to understand incredibly well and track them, because it's usually either a conversion problem, meaning people are not converting, or a traffic problem, meaning people are not even seeing you. You need to understand which problem you're solving. If it's impressions, for example, traffic problem, if you're not getting enough impressions, either your keywords are not what they should be, they're not relevant, or it's not enough bids, you're not putting enough money to be seen, especially in more competitive niches. If it's conversion, it usually means either your listing is not great, main image is not great, bullet points are not great, pricing and reviews are not great. That's where it happens. And also, that's from a traffic and conversion standpoint. From an ads perspective and profit perspective, really one of the most important thing I'm caring about is TACOS. Now, ACOS, advertising cost of sales, is great, but the issue with something like ACOS is it only shows you how well your advertising is performing, and they omit the most important detail, which is organic sales. And for a lot of competitive niches like supplements, you might have a 50% ACOS and a 15% TACOS. So you're profitable, but you're not pushing. Most people are confusing Amazon advertising. Amazon advertising is to push traffic for the relevant keywords, so you're seen and bought. That's it. Like, as long as you're able to do profitably that, you're doing PPC successfully. For me, I like to really keep a close eye to TACOS, and I want to make sure that month to month is my brand growing in sales, reputation, and profit. Instead of, oh, my ACOS is high or my ACOS is low. Am I growing my sales? Am I going closer to the number one spot? Am I making more profit overall? That's where I really want to do. Most beginner sellers, or what they do, in my opinion, is a big mistake, is checking sales daily and just being too much on the things. That doesn't help. I always suggest look at things monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Are you up on all these metrics? Profit, sales, reputation, and market share. If you're up, then you're doing well. And understand these levers and what to pull. Because if you're too passive with PP, your sales are going to suffer. If you're too aggressive, your profit is going to suffer. So anytime you need to understand what you're trying to do. The more aggressive you are, rule of thumb is, you're going to lose profit. Like, you're not going to make as much. The more defensive you are, you might lose sales, but you'll be more profitable. So you need to understand at one point you are at the brand. That's why for us as an agency, when we onboard someone, we always ask, what is your goal? Like, you're doing 100,000 now. Do you want to get to 300,000 this year, or do you want to get to 150 more profitably? Whichever is, there's no right or wrong. It's personal preference. Some people might want to exit in 3 years, so they're trying to push those multiples in sales. Some people want to make as much money as possible on Amazon, and they're being less aggressive. There's no wrong with either. It's all about individual position, and more importantly, knowing what to do. Because brands and the businesses that suffer is those ones that are in between. I want to grow my sales aggressively, but I don't want to spend ads, but I want to make the most profit. Those are the ones that suffer. If you have a target and goal in mind, it's much easier to work with, from my experience.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned about the funnel, right? So do you, like, let's say that's kind of the bestseller on that account. Do you check the main relevant keyword and check those funnels for those keywords as well?
Correct. So we go into a lot of detail. I want to make sure that everything is tracked all the time. So I'll give you an example. We have a place like on Notion where we track absolutely everything we do for a client, every change, every ad change, every listing change, just so we can track date. First, we want to see how much we're working on a client and what that impacts. And to go more specific, as you said, yes. So as you know, most products and listings, they really have 5 to 10 keywords that perform very well. Everything else will bring sales, but it won't be at the level of those top performers and top performing keywords. So we want to make sure how we're ranking for them. Is our rank going up and down? Is our market share going up and down? And this is a place where search query performance is very good, because that gives you a good amount of analytics on market share. So yeah, that's where we follow it. And more widely, if you want to go, is the funnel you're tracking is you want to do it on account level as well. Product level, yes, but account level as well. And depending on your inventory, if you have 100 ASINs or 10 ASINs, it's going to be very different. Our rule of thumb is always 20 to 30% of your products will bring most of your sales. That's always the case. From 10 products, all those 10 products rarely will be best sellers. Maybe 1 to 3 will perform very well. That's where most of your money, profit, and sales will come.
Great, Iani. For tracking those, ranking, organic ranking, for example, is there any specific software that you use?
So
what's your favorite one?
I mean, to be honest, I don't love the softwares out there. Helium 10 is good. Data Dive is very good as well. Those are kind of the 2 softwares we use. I'm sure there's some others there, but Helium 10 and Data Dive are the ones we use. Just one thing depending on your journey on Amazon, if you're starting out, there's a lot of good softwares out there, but remember, the data that Amazon gives you will always be the best, because a lot of these softwares, the data is guesstimation. It's not 100% accurate because it's not directly from Amazon. Some of them have APIs, some of them don't, but Amazon sometimes is very stingy with giving data. They don't give the data to softwares. They'll give you the data to you. For example, search query performance will be much better data than, for example, something you get from Helium 10. But yeah, Helium 10 and Data Dive is what we usually use for it. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, means we use the same as well. That kind of the top players, right, in the market. My next question is, let's assume that a seller is stuck on like a 6-figure for a year. They can't jump into the 7-figure. So in that scenario, for that client, what will be your approach? What are the things that you will plan, ahead, let's say for 3 months or for 6 months?
So if he's been stuck for a certain level for at the same sale, so let's say he's been doing 50,000 a month for the last 12 months, everything that I've mentioned, I'm first going to go through all the ads historically. I want to see how they performed, how often they've been touched and checked, what's been pushed and what not. Like, most likely you see that in the last 6 months, ads haven't really been touched as much, and it's been more of a stale, not managing it. Second thing as well is I'll check, as I mentioned, impressions, clicks, and conversion rate. I want to see if they're going up or down. And super important that most people miss, the actual listings. I want to see how the listings are looking. Do we need to change the main image? Because if I see click-through rate and conversion rate are low, I want to make sure that first, we're price competitive. Second, the reviews are good. And third, we have a main image that's a killer, showing exactly what the product does, and it's high quality. Because too many people concentrate on ads. Ads are great, but without a good listing, you're putting water in a leaky bucket. So you need to make sure that the listings are world class. I much rather have an amazing listing with well priced and great market fit, with good reviews, with average PPC strategy, than amazing PPC strategy with bad listing, bad pricing, bad review, because you can't really do much with that. So I always say to people, listings and PPC and advertising, they're connected. They're not 1 and 2, they're one of the same. So always really thinking of that. For us in the agency, that's why we have 2 departments. the advertising department where we do everything ads, and then we have the design and listing creation department that does only that, because those are the two elements and the biggest leverage you have on Amazon. So really, I would make sure that my listings are top notch. And if he's been stuck for 6 figures a year, I bet that one of these things, if not all of them, are not done properly or at the maximum extent.
Yeah, great. And let's assume, you took an account and this is one of the things that you do, just one thing that you want to do, and that will have like a higher impact on the account in terms of sales. So what will be that one thing that you will select that will have more impact?
Difficult question to answer because it's so much case per case basis.
Yeah.
Because many times I've seen they have great organic sales, but they're just not pushing PPC enough. Like they might have a 20%, 15% ACOS, 5% TACOS, but they're not generating any sales. So sometimes it's just being more aggressive, targeting more ads, doing more testing on that, and that will increase sales. Sometimes it might be that the images are not good and they're not indexed correctly. The SEO is very weak. So that might be a case as well. But one thing it's very difficult to say because different accounts and brands will have different issues. For some, it might be a traffic and not being aggressive enough on PPC. For another one might be they're just not a great product, which is more difficult. For another one might be images are not great. Because remember, Amazon is a competition game. You're competing with other products. When people search for you on the product, they're not just seeing you, they're seeing all the other products as well. So how are you standing out? Always, I think a lot of it is logic and a lot of it is being a customer yourself. Think about when you're a customer, what do you buy? Now ask your mother, ask your sister, ask all your friends, and most of them will have similar answers. A lot of it will be reviews, a lot of it will be images, a lot of it will be pricing. Now, of course, a category like supplements, pricing is not the most important thing. Actually, with something like supplements, pricing sometimes can work against you. I'll give you an example. If you see a creatine gummy at $20 and you see a creatine gummy at $10, when it's so cheap, sometimes you might think the quality is not there, and because it's health related, you might go with the more expensive ones. But most categories are not there. So you need to really understand that part of how well you're priced against your competition. Also understand that pricing is not a fixed thing. You can change pricing, you can run deals, you can do limited deals, discounts, subscribe and save. I would make sure you push that. And also understanding the lifetime value of your customer. If you're something like supplements, you need to understand, okay, on average, my customers, how long are they staying with me? One person, how many purchases are they getting from me? Because if I know on average, I'm getting 6 orders, I'm happy to spend more because I know I'm not going to make money on the first order, but I'm going to make money on the other 5. So all of that, you need to understand very well, or you have to have someone on your team understanding it.
Yeah, that's a very good point that Iani, that you brought up. About if it's a consumables, the initial investment to get their customer might be higher, but a lot of sellers that I've seen is that they don't look like that. They don't look the advertising in the same eye. That's the problem. My next question is about most of the sellers are there to make profit at the end of the day. But they don't look into the right figures on Amazon. So in your experience, how do you, what report do you download for a viewer that's watching now? How do you guide them?
So you see, that's one of the places where I think most brands are very weak on Amazon. Most businesses are very weak because they don't understand their figures. They don't understand their profit and loss. They see sales going up, but they don't understand they're not making more. Now, from a very basic view, something like Seller Board can help, but that's very basic. That doesn't go with too much detail. Now, in a perfect world case scenario, you want to have an accountant that's running a management accounts for you every month, meaning they're showing your profit and loss, accounting, real money, real finances per month. On top of that, you want to be running a cash flow statement and a cash flow prediction every month, meaning, okay, it says I've done 20 grand in profit, but my cash flow is 5,000 pounds, okay, or $5,000. You need to understand that so you can, because cash flow positivity is almost as important, if not more important than profit. So you need to understand cash flow, you need to understand profit. My advice is if you really want to do it properly, you have an accountant and you do it every month. Management accounts every month, showing profit and loss, balance sheet, the figures that change, and cash flow statement as well. That's the proper way. The reports you can download is something from reports repository. Those are usually the ones that a lot of the accountants use. But I would definitely speak with my accountant, making sure. If you want to have baseline figures, Seller Board is good enough because at least will show you some level of gross profit, some level of net profit. It might not be perfectly correct, but it's better than nothing. And I would make sure that you understand that the profit and loss, the profit game, it's very difficult to understand on Amazon. There's not enough education around it. Most videos are about PPC and listings, or more specifically about PPC. There's very little videos on YouTube about how to actually understand profit and loss on Amazon. because most people find it boring.
Very true, very true. Some good points there. And we are on Q4 now, right? So what are the things that you will talk to the client, saying, okay, we need to do this and this, and we need to prepare it. Let's say, the top 3 things that you will normally talk to your clients.
So number one is stock. We want to make sure we have enough stock.
Always.
Because I see so many people thinking about deals and setting up ads, but they don't have the stock. So make sure you have a lot of stock. And depending if this is your first Q4 or not, if it's your first Q4, you won't have as much data. If it's not your first Q4, you have data from the last Q4. So let's say on average you do 10,000 units a month, and on Q4, let's say October, November, December, you do 15, 20,000. Make sure you're properly stocked for that. Also make sure to run a forecast of, okay, on average we go 1.5 times, right? But we also been growing this year 15 or 10% every year. So we want to understand that and maybe order 2x of what we usually order just to be prepared. In worst case scenario, I'd much rather have a bit more stock to make sure that I'm selling, because it's not like once Q4 finishes, everything is cut off. Most people that I speak with, they say the same thing about Q4. I should have ordered more stock. Now, when it comes to PPC strategy and ads, this is where you need to be very careful. Prime days can be amazing, but Prime days can destroy your profit. Because what happens on Prime days and Black Friday and Cyber Monday is that you have so much more traffic than usual, 10, 20% more, right? But these people are not looking for your brand. They're looking for the best bargain ever, because you know that on Prime Day, 20, 30, 40% off. So what you get now is that if 1 million people are on that page, now they're 1.52 million people. And a lot of people are there just to look, not to buy. So your cost per click is going up, 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 up. Your ads are starting to spend a lot more. And what you see is like, oh, wow, I made good sales, but I actually make a lot less profit. And many times the customers you get from Prime Day, you don't keep those customers, because those customers came just because of that price point. So you need to understand that, right? I always say, if you can afford and you have a lot of money to spend, go and do deals for Prime Day. If you want to be more sensible, put a cap on your ad spend and just enjoy the free traffic and more sales. That's if you really want to make profit on that day.
Oh, that's very good. Now we have Cosmo, we have Rufus and everything. So it's important that we touch base on those topics. So I want to start with Cosmos. There are a lot of talking going on LinkedIn, for example, how to optimize it. There are a few things that you need to look into Cosmos. What's your take on that?
So for me, Rufus, AI, and everything from that side, I do agree that it will have maybe at some point a bigger impact. But right now in 2025, the amount of people buying from Rufus is such a small percentage compared to how people buy. Because remember, how people buy on Amazon hasn't changed. It's again search term intent. They type something on the search bar, whichever is coming first and it's most relevant to what they're searching is what they buy. So you need to make sure you're optimizing for that. The SEO is maybe the part where it's more for the robots and for AI. So as long as you understand that part of which keywords you should be putting, how you should be putting them, the back-end keywords are quite important that a lot of people miss. Understanding that part is important. But other than that, I wouldn't go crazy over optimizing of AI, because people are not buying via AI yet. It's not a big part. It's not like 80% of sales. It's not like, for example, mobile, a lot of people are buying from the phone. So you should definitely optimize for that. You should have images that look great on mobile and desktop. But for AI, I would make sure first you get everything else right, then optimizing for AI. That's the way I see it.
Okay. And the next question is, we have a big market, right? UK is big, but if you look into the European side, it's quite big, if you combine all those countries. So what's your take on expanding to the Europe? If it's a brand it's only selling in the UK marketplace, what will be your comment on that or suggestion?
Europe is one of the biggest opportunities right now. It has been for many years, but it is super, super big. Just bear in mind, so Germany is the biggest market in Europe. UK is the second biggest, and then I think you have France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, so on and so forth. But UK is the only one that's kind of separate from everyone else, right? Brexit and the fact that it's an island is far away. But France, it's very close to Italy. It's not that far from Germany. It's very close to Switzerland. They're not far. All these countries are so close, and there's so many people buying from there. So if you have your stock in Germany, Germany can pretty much fulfill Poland, Austria, Switzerland, which are huge markets with a lot of money and disposable income. So if you can, and if you have the budget, I will definitely at least go to Germany. And then if you can, from Germany, you want to sell everywhere else. Because Remember, in Europe, Amazon is not yes, it's big, people buy from it, but from an agency standpoint, from PPC standpoint, listing standpoint, it is very behind the times, right? If you look at the listings in Italy, if you look at the listings in Germany, they're not great. The PPC strategy is not great. So if you get someone who understands it, you can outmaneuver them and have an advantage from there. Now, if you get a product from the UK that's quite unique, that is an extra incentive, because you're basically selling to people in Germany a product that they haven't seen much, and it's something new, so you can win them at that point as well. But if you can, Europe is definitely something I would attack. I would probably attack more Europe than US at some point, because US is more difficult to set up. If you have to set up an LOC, it's more complicated. The tariffs don't help. Of course, if you're from Europe, you don't get impacted as much. But I'll just make sure that, look, if you do very well in the UK and then you can do very well in Germany, you're pretty much set regardless. And then if you can add the full Europe to that, you'll be doing very well. So definitely be thinking about Europe.
Do you have like a case study, or one of your clients who have expanded to Europe and seen an amazing results? Do you have an example that you can share with the viewers?
Yes. Well, so UK, with going from UK to Europe is a bit more complicated with Brexit, right? That's the only issue. But we've had clients that went from England doing maybe 150, 200,000 a month, and now we're just in Germany adding another 50K a month in the first couple of months, because we have all the right stats. We know that product works very well in Germany. So do we have insane stories? Not yet, because most people are still not wanting to go too much to Europe. Some people, because they're doing so well in the UK, they're like, I want to stay in the UK. But the ones that have gone to Europe, yes, they have added 50, 100,000 extra a month from a new marketplace. For a smaller business, that's a significant amount. Adding a couple of million to your top line and maybe $500,000 to your bottom line, just from another marketplace, it makes you a lot more valuable as a business as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Let me ask you a scenario. So, a lot of sellers, they list an item without looking into SEO and keywords and stuff like that. They just list it, and hopefully it will rank and stuff like that. Maybe they will do an advertisement, but it's all goes to flop. So in your ideal scenario, to set up a perfect listing, how do you start? What's the recipe? Tell me the ingredients.
So first, I want to make sure that the product has enough market fit, right? I'm assuming that the person who's making the listing already knows that the product they have will sell. They've already done their competitive analysis. They're priced competitively, so they're actually people to buy them, and they have some good reviews. If that's the case, then first I'll make sure I understand what the top keywords are. 5 to 10 most important keywords. Don't go with absolutely every keyword. You need to care about the most important keywords. Usually they're anywhere between 5 and 10, sometimes even less. Those keywords, you want to make sure they're on the title in a way that's not very stuffed. You don't want to put a title that's so long, but you want to make sure that it's long enough and it's concise and understandable enough for people to buy. Now, people don't buy from title usually. That's the key. A lot of the SEO is more for the robots. It's more for Amazon to really index you there. Now, the bullet point is something that people miss a lot. Bullet points are very important, because when someone buys from Amazon, they rarely go to the description. They usually look at the image, and if they're not convinced enough of the image, they might look at the bullet point. So make sure they're concise, not super long, meaning it's not you don't want to write a book there, but it shows the actual points of the product. So if it's creating gummies, make sure you tell what the bullet point is, kind of the top 5 attributes or top 5 most important things for that product, to the point that if the bullet points are done well, you don't even need to read the description. So concise enough, and in the bullet point, very important, have the keywords as well. Those 3 to 5, 10 keywords we mentioned, have them there as well, but in a way that they're flowing naturally. You don't want it to be in a way that it's just keyword, 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 and it doesn't make sense when you read it. Then you have the product description, same thing. Make sure that it's not super long, but it's long enough, and it has the important keywords there. If you can have A+ content, great. If you can have A+ premium content, even better. That's really the perfect case scenario. Have that fully optimized. Main image, I cannot stress this enough. Have an amazing main image, as beautiful as possible, standing out. You want to stand out as much as possible. Secondary, third, and fourth image, they tell the story kind of a lot of the times, in my opinion, second, third, and fourth image is good to have some infographics, us against them, explaining the product more in detail, what it does and what you should be used to. You're kind of telling the story. The first image shows the product and convinces the person to like it. it's like almost a thumbnail, right? It's a thumbnail. It makes
Yeah.
the person to come, but the other images are convincing and telling the story why you should get that product. In a perfect world, I want to have a video of the product, 1 or 2 videos of showing how the product is used in real life, not AI, like actually show me how you use the product. Doesn't need to be very fancy. And then really that's pretty much it. As if you have all of these things covered and all of them look great, and you have a product that fits well, has good reviews, priced well, and a good PPC strategy, it's very difficult to not do well.
That's a very great answer, very nice answer.
Thank you.
And is there any AI that you normally use or recommend for the users to support the listing, for example?
So you see, that's a great question. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about the new Gemini Banana, and a lot of people, we've used Gemini Banana. It's okay, it's not great, because the issue with all of these AI, they can help you maybe a basis of an image, but still in 2025, the final touch-ups, they either need to be done with Canva or Photoshop. So you still need to do that. AI is great maybe to give you an idea, maybe clean up an image, but to actually do it use it 100%, it's not at that point yet. Maybe at one point it will come, but it's not yet. So AI, I would use maybe the clean image to give you an idea of how the image wants to look. Then you need to be able to touch it up as well and make sure it's for Amazon's requirements. AI, you can maybe use for some keyword research, but again, it's not the best for that. The problem with AI I found is it's great for so many things, but a lot of the data is not accurate and it's very agreeable with you. So if you ask AI a couple of things and you say, but that's not right, they will agree with you, even if you're wrong. So that's the thing I need to be very careful with. And I've been seeing it the last couple of months for us. AI has been very inaccurate for many things. So always use AI, but don't use just AI. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's I completely agree with you what you have said. That's my experience as well. And Iani, for this workflow automation, so we can automate a lot of stuff, right, within Amazon, if you're an Amazon seller. So what will be best automation that you have seen so far?
So for me, right, if I'm a brand owner, I want to make sure that I'm spending the least amount of time on stuff that doesn't matter. So shipping, if I can either get someone to help me with that or make it as fast, and maybe use something like 2D workflow or use something to help me. Depending, again, if it's 2 products, you don't really need any automation for that, right?
Yeah.
But use a prep center. If you can use a prep center so you don't have to deal with any of this. Use a prep center. Make sure that you either understand ads at a super high level and listing creation at super high level, or have someone in your team that does, or hire an agency, whichever it is, but you need those elements. If I'm a brand owner, all I care about is my product the best? And how am I competing with other products? So if I'm a brand owner, the best brand owners we ever worked with are not people that understand ads, but people that understand product and have a good product, that they're obsessed the level of product and making sure that product is the best. If you have someone who's very creative on the product building part and understands manufacturing, those are usually the best guys to work with by far.
That's great. That's great. It's been nice to chat with you, Iani. And you were like pumped up and you were throwing the answers straight away. That's fantastic. Appreciate that. So for the viewers, where can they find you? Could you give us some details?
Of course.
I think you also have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah, I do. So on YouTube, it's Iani E-commerce, Ecom. On LinkedIn, it's Iani Doynov, and Instagram is Iani Doynov. So I'm pretty much the same everywhere. And yeah, you can send me a message there. You can go to our website, EcommerceVille.com, have a look at there. We do offer a free audit as well, meaning that we'll go through your account, give you some actionable insight that will help regardless. You don't have to work with us. So yeah, happy to chat. Any questions at all, I'm there to answer. I usually try to be very fast in answering, but yeah,
that's a very good habit to have.
Yeah, of course.
So what I will do, you can find all the details in the show notes, down in the description, the LinkedIn profile, the website. Iani is offering a free audit as well. So please do check it out. And thanks a lot, Iani, for all the great advice. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.